Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing our full review of the J+ Booster 2 40 amp portable electric vehicle charger. Now this is a dual voltage unit, meaning it has an adapter to charge on 120 volt, and you can also charge on 240 volt, up to 40 amps. So it's a pretty robust unit. And on paper, it has some really good specs, part of which is it's supposed to be able to be crush proof at up to 6,600 pounds. And my F-150 Lightning weighs 6,600 pounds. So I think we're going to do a crush test later on. So you're going to want to hang around and see how the J+ Booster 2 does under the tires of my F-150 Lightning. But first, don't forget, please, click that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any electric vehicle charging news and reviews here on State of Charge. This video is powered by Qmerit, North America's leading provider of installation services for electric vehicle charging, home energy storage, and other electrification technologies. See how Qmerit is making the energy transition easy for home and business owners by following the link in the description of this video. Okay, so before we jump into the review, let's take a look at the key features for the J Booster Plus. Dimension-wise, it's 11 inches long and it's round, so it's 2.76 inches wide and deep. It is a 40 amp unit, which can deliver 9.6 kilowatts, and that's when plugged into a NEMA 1450 outlet. If you plug it into a regular 120 volt household outlet, it can deliver 12 amps, which is 1.4 kilowatt. It comes standard with a 21-foot cable. There is a 25-foot cable available, which costs $50 more. It uses the J1772 connector, which is the connector that all electric vehicles sold in North America, except for Tesla vehicles, currently uses. But this will charge Teslas with the adapter that comes with every Tesla car. You simply snap it onto the J1772 connector, and you could use the J Booster Plus to charge your Tesla vehicle. Now the enclosure is IP67 rated. Now that's a NEMA 6 equivalent, which means it has extremely good weatherproof rating. It can actually have prolonged submersion up to 39 inches. So we're going to test that out later on in this review. It has an operating temperature of -22 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit, which is -30 Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius. It is a solid unit, and it's made of military-grade aluminum. It's really tough, and it has drive-over resistance to wheel loads up to 6,600 pounds, which, as I said, we're going to be testing out later. It's a pretty light unit. It weighs 7.7 pounds. It is UL listed, and it comes with a 2-year factory warranty. All right, well, first up, let's unbox this guy and see what comes with the unit. All right, so let's see what we have here. We have some paperwork. We have a nice carrying case that actually has Velcro on the bottom of it, so when you put it in your trunk, it'll stick to the carpet and it won't slide around and bounce around. We have the body of the unit with a 21-foot cable and the J1772 connector, the wall mounting bracket, 2 screws and anchors to mount the bracket to the wall, has a warranty card, the NEMA 1450 adapter, and the NEMA 515 adapter. All right, so since the J+ Booster 2 is a portable unit, you can take it with you, but you can also use it as your daily charger. And they provide this wall bracket, so you can install it on the wall and leave it plugged in if you're going to use it for daily use. Now, some people may opt to leave this in their trunk and just have it there for emergencies or use it on the road whenever they need to. But I think a lot of people are going to use this as their daily charging unit. You can. It's built really robustly, and I believe this would be a fine unit to use for daily charging. Now, you wouldn't hardwire it. You can't hardwire this. It comes with the NEMA 1450 adapter for level 2 and also the NEMA 515 515 adapter if you're going to use it to charge from a 120 volt source. We're going to go into that a little bit later. But for now, this is the mounting bracket. You basically just have to mount this on the wall in close proximity to your NEMA 1450 or 515 outlet, and then the unit actually snaps into it and holds it nice and snugly, and this is the cradle for the connector. So I'm going to put this thing up on the wall now, and we'll take a look at how it looks when it's mounted on the wall. But before we do that, let's take a quick look at the documentation that comes with the unit. Okay, so we have the user's manual here. We also have a quick start guide, which is pretty good. It shows you how to use it. I mean, just basically plug it in. But it also shows on here that you can buy a lock from the company, and then it will lock the connector. If this was mounted, I guess, outside where somebody could steal it, see these two holes down here in the connector cradle. The lock goes around that and holds it in, so at least an extra level of security if this is in an area where you think the unit could be in danger of being stolen, or just to prevent other people from using it. If this is in maybe an apartment building or a common garage, you don't want somebody else using the unit, you can lock the connector to this holster and nobody else can use it. There's one more thing that's pretty interesting here. This is a tree certificate. And it says, 1 tree has been donated and planted. Thank you for being awesome and helping us save our wonderful planet. This is to certify that we have planted a new tree in the designated reforestation area on your behalf, guaranteeing that production of the J Plus booster is completely carbon neutral, which is interesting. So the reforest area is in Chilcotin Plateau. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That's in British Columbia, Canada. And on the back here gives a little bit more information. So it says, a CO2 neutral world, the first class durable and therefore sustainable project, sustainably produced. This is how e-mobility must be. We are convinced that a clean mobility begins with clean charging technology, and we will take the first step together with you. Manufacturing a J Plus booster generates 84 kilograms of carbon dioxide, including the adapters and transportation. 1 tree will absorb around 120 kilograms of carbon dioxide in its first 10 years, which is precisely why J Plus is committed to planting 1 tree for every J Plus booster it produces. This certificate is a small acknowledgement of your contribution as a J Plus customer. After all, if we are in a position to help make the world a better place, surely we should jump right in and do something about it. Very best wishes from your J Plus team. Thought that was interesting and wanted to point that out. So if you do buy one of these, a tree will be planted, and it will completely offset the carbon created to produce this. After, it seems like 8 to 9 years, it should completely offset the carbon made to use, not only to make it, but to also transport it. So good on the J Plus team. I think that's a really nice sentiment. So now let's take a look at what this looks like when it's mounted up on the wall. All right, so I mounted the cradle on the wall now and hung the J Plus booster in the cradle. It's a really nice, secure fit. This is a quality, thick steel bracket. So I like the quality. Everything I've seen so far in this unit is very high quality, robust, and strong, which is what we really like to see. One thing I want to point out, though, I think I made a mistake earlier in the unpacking. I said that the optional lock goes on the side where the connector holster is. It doesn't. It's on this side here, and it would lock the unit in the cradle, and you wouldn't be able to remove it. So that's optional that you'd get from the company. It doesn't come with the unit, but this is going to be mounted in an area, as I said, where it's a common area. You definitely want to get that because somebody could easily just walk away with this. So now let's just take a quick look at the unit. As you can see, the cable hangs from the bottom. It's a 21-foot cable that comes standard with this. You can get the optional 25-foot cable for, I think, $50 more, but 21-foot comes standard with the unit. And this is the only way it'll fit in the cradle, with the plug on the top and the cable for the connector on the bottom. So now let's just take a look at how this happens. Good thick rubber caps too for both the the unit itself, and also the NEMA 1450 and NEMA 550 adapters that come with the unit. There's 6 more adapters that you can buy from the company depending on what you need. Like if you were to have a NEMA 650 outlet here, you can buy the NEMA 650 adapter, but out of the box, you don't have that choice. It only comes with the 1450. It's a really robust connector here too. Most of these units that are dual voltage, the adapters just kind of slide in. They're nice and snug and tight, but they took it one step further. Let me remove the cap. Again, a nice, really good, thick, rubberized cap. And what you have to do is line up, there's a red dot on the adapter and a red dot on the unit. And you have to line them up, and then it snaps, and you've got to push it really hard. It's a super tight connection, and now it's locked into the unit. To remove it, you have to push this up, and then it pulls off. But let's put it back down here for a second. I mean, it's tight. You really got to push it. So let's just take a look. This is how it would be mounted on the wall. Notice how high the plug is. Typically, I like my charging equipment, the bottom of my charging equipment, to be somewhere between 3.5 and 4.5 feet from the ground. You want it to be a convenient height so you can grab the connector. You don't want to have to reach down or reach up for the connector. So if you mount this is mounted at about 4 feet right now, the bottom of this. That means the top of the outlet is 6 feet off the floor. Now, if you already have an NEMA 1450 outlet installed in your garage, it's probably not going to be 6 feet off the floor. It's probably going to be about waist height like I have these here. So that's a problem if you already have one. You're probably going to want to relocate it. Otherwise, there's about 2 feet from the top of the plug to the bottom of this unit. It would be down, here somewhere, the unit. And every time you wanted to grab your connector, you'd have to bend over. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but we like things to be ergonomically pleasant when you're dealing with, if you're using this thing every day to plug in and out, you kind of want it to be nice and convenient. But what you could also do is buy a remote connector holster. So if the unit was down on the ground, you could buy something like this here. These are available on eBay. I'm actually going to put, not eBay, I'm sorry, these are available on Amazon. I'm going to put a link in the description of this video to one of these that I recommend. It's an Electron product, and it's a really nice product. And let me explain why you might want to get one if you get the J Plus Booster 2. Not just for the fact that if you already have an outlet, the body of the unit is going to be down here. But also because, watch this, when you holster the connector gets holstered here like this. There's nowhere to hang the cable at all. You can't hang it over the top of the unit. This is plugged in. You can't hang it over the connector holster. It's going to be laying on the floor. I don't like when cables are just laying on the floor. So it's a tripping hazard. People step on it, a car can run it over. So that's a negative here. This should have some sort of cable management system, and it doesn't. So I would personally, if I was using this every day, I would get a remote connector holster like this. And what you then do is the cable can loop around the top of the unit. This is mounted on the wall, and this loops around the top of the unit. And then, I got to remove, this has a plastic cap, which is nice. This locks into the connector holster like this, and you're on the wall like this. So now you've got your cable looped around it and the connector holstered and properly holstered. To be honest with you, I'm not a fan of this connector holster. It holds the connector with the pins up, and dust and anything in the air can settle in there. Now, I know it comes with this plastic cap, but it's really a pain to every time you plug in your car, and it's really tight to put it on, and then every time you're done charging, you got to put it back on and put it there. I think most people are just going to take this thing and hang it on there. And now anything that's in the air is going to settle in the pins. There might be moisture in the air. These get installed all over the place. If you're working in your garage and you're cutting wood or something, sawdust is airborne. And all that stuff settles inside the pins here, and over time can foul them. So I don't like when connectors are just left hanging upwards like this to the elements. And as I said, I know they provide this, but This is such a pain. I've been charging electric cars for 13 years now. I wouldn't put one of these things on and off every time I plugged in or unplugged my vehicle. So not a fan of this connector holster, not a fan of the fact that it doesn't have any cable management. So, but it's easily remedied. For like under $20, you could buy a remote connector holster. Now you can put it wherever you want. You don't have to hang it right here. You could have this plugged in near your outlet over here, and put the remote connector holster on another wall, maybe right near your charge port. So you just have to grab it off the wall and plug in. So easily remedied, but it's not a good solution here. And also understand, if you are going to get the J Plus Booster 2 and you haven't installed your NEMA 1450 outlet yet, be cognizant of the fact that you're probably going to want to install the top of the outlet somewhere between 5 feet off the ground and 6 feet off the ground. And then the body of the unit is going to be somewhere in here, which is what you want. You know, you want it to be kind of eye level. You can see what's going on. If there's any faults, if you need to adjust the amperage, you could do it. You don't have to bend over and do it. Again, not a huge deal. It can be down there on the ground, but you know, we want things to be user friendly. I don't know why they didn't design this bracket to hold the unit, whether it's with the cable up or the cable down. And that way, if you had an outlet that was low, you could plug it in up here. If you had the outlet high, you could plug it in there. It seems like a missed opportunity. Maybe I'm missing something engineering-wise that I don't see why, but I don't know why this couldn't have been made so that it would fit in either way and just give the user an option to have the unit mounted above the outlet or below the outlet. As I mentioned, it comes with two adapters. One is the NEMA 515, and that's for a regular 120 volt household outlet. It's a regular standard plug configuration that you have in all of your household outlets. And when charging from this unit here, you can get up to 12 amps at 120 volts, which is somewhere around 1.3, 1.4 kilowatt. When charging from this 120 volt source, depending on how efficient your electric vehicle is, you'll get somewhere between 2 and 4 miles of range added for every hour you're charging. And when using the NEMA 1450 adapter, you can then charge it up to 40 amps. 40 amps is 9.6 kilowatts. And again, the mileage you add per hour of charging is going to depend on how efficient your electric vehicle is. You're going to get somewhere between 20 miles of range an hour and up to 45, maybe even 50 miles of range of hour if your EV is a very efficient electric vehicle. So as you can see, there's a huge difference in the miles per hour, miles of range per hour added when you're charging on 120 volt and 240 volt. But that's one of the beautiful things about the J Plus Booster 2 is it's dual voltage, and you can use it in a variety of applications. There may be some times that you only have 120 volt outlet available and you're on the road and you need to plug in, and maybe you're staying overnight somewhere at a hotel or something, and the 120 volt outlet will do just fine. It'll add some miles, you know, while you're there. I have friends that have like second homes either up in skiing areas or down the New Jersey shore, and they don't install 240 volt outlets there because when they get to their destination, they park their car and they're there for like 3 or 4 days. So they just plug into a 120 volt outlet, and by the time they head home, the car's fully charged. Now, it's going to charge really slowly, but if you're there a long time, what difference does it make? The J Plus Booster 2 has an enclosure rating of IP67, which is equivalent to a NEMA 6 rating, and that's outstanding. IP67 rated devices allow for submersion in water up to 39 inches and for up to 30 minutes. So I filled up a bucket and placed the unit completely underwater. Now you can see by the lights on the body that the unit is indeed charging the truck. I then stepped inside the R1T to see that the vehicle was accepting the 9 kilowatt that the J Plus Booster 2 can deliver. Now I know the rating is for up to 30 minutes of submersion, but we like to push the limit here at State of Charge, so I left it in for over 2 hours, and I came back to find it still charging, and at that point had delivered over 23 kilowatt hour of energy. That's a big pass for the submersion test. Next up, it's time for our cable deep freeze test. And I put the J Plus Booster 2 in this freezer 24 hours ago. Let's see how cold it is in there. We have negative 10.5 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's nice and cold. Now, I'm actually expecting this unit to perform well because the cable is very thin. Now, not all thin cables perform well and not all thick cables don't do well, but it felt like it had a kind of a rubbery feel to it. It wasn't really plasticky. The more plasticky the outer jackets, the worse they fare in these tests. But the cable is very thin. I measured it, it's only 15.5 millimeters. Now, only the Open EVSE and the Tesla wall connector are electric vehicle chargers that can deliver at least 40 amps and have thinner cables. So this cable is very thin for a 40 amp unit, and I think that's going to help it in the cable deep freeze test. But we'll find out in a second. Let's check it out. All right, pretty good. Let's see how it does here. Let me get this guy in the holster. It goes like this. Oh, it goes up like this. Here we go. All right, she is cold. I forgot my gloves. Okay, so let's see. We like to try to open them up into larger loops and see how well it handles that. As I smack the connector on the ground, it's not doing as good as I thought it would for a cold weather cable. It's not bad. Because it's so thin, you can just overpower it, but it's trying to remain in the smaller circles that I wrapped it up in. As you can see here, it's not flopping. It's actually, for a cable of this thickness, it's not performing that well. But as I said, because it's so thin, it's not going to fight you that much. You know, you'll be able to easily use this and stretch it out. I would like if it did a little bit better. So, you know, I don't think this is going to get any additional points, but I'm probably not going to penalize it because it's not bad. You can use this pretty easily. You know, you could wrap it back up and put it over connector holster. But as you can see, it's pretty stiff. So the fact that it's as thin as it is helped it in this test. Okay, next up, while we have the unit still cold, we're going to do the connector drop test. We do this test because people drop their connectors, and we try to see if the connector is robust enough to be able to handle 5 drops at somewhere around chest or waist high, kind of where you would drop it. You know, there's no need in holding it up here because you're not going to hold your connector up there. You're going to unplug your EV and then, you know, maybe just drop it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, she fared well, and I think part of that is the end of the connector has this rubber cap, and so it's really thick. You really wouldn't want to be taking this thing on and off. I guess as you use it, it's going to loosen up, but this is a really thick rubber cap, so it's on the end here, and it sticks out the furthest. So even if you were to drop it on the end, it's not going to break because this rubber cap sticks out further. Those of you that watch this channel may have seen on my Autel Maxi charger connector drop test, when I dropped it on the end, the tab here that sticks out sticks out the furthest. And it was an unfortunate drop where it landed right on that, and it was plastic. This is plastic too, so I think if you really hit this at the right angle, it might break, but it didn't on my drop tests. And I think, like I said, part of the reason is it's got this big, thick rubber cap on the edge that is sticking out, and that's really what's going to take the brunt of it if you drop it. If you put it back on, which I recommend when you're not using your connector, especially if it's hanging like this where it's exposed to the elements, you want to keep that covered. If it's in a connector holster where it plugs into the wall, or something like either this Ford here where it's integrated in, or even the NLX juice box, see it goes in there. These connectors are protected from the elements. It's part of the reason why I really don't like this connector holster, and I'd recommend getting a remote connector holster from a third party if you do buy the J Plus Booster 2. But here for the cable deep freeze test and the connector drop tests, the unit passed both of our tests. Okay, so I've been using the J Plus Booster 2 for a few weeks now, and it's working as advertised. But there is one thing I need to mention. This is actually the second unit that I had shipped to me. The first J Plus Booster 2 that I received faulted after only 2 days of use. So Juice America sent me another unit to complete the review. Now, I'm not going to kill them on this. It's not good to see, but I'm not going to kill them on it, because virtually every electric vehicle charger that I've ever reviewed here and had followers buy, I've gotten feedback from my followers saying, Tom, I bought this on your review and it broke after a week, or, after 6 months. So this happens with this equipment. How the company responds to it is really important. Now, the unit does come with a 3-year warranty, so if you do have any problems within 3 years, they will ship you out a new one. It's not going to help them in my final ratings, but as I said, I'm not going to kill it based on that, because this does happen from time to time. I've had some equipment that a lot of my followers had to message me and say, hey, Tom, I'm on my third one of these within the first year. That's not good. That was some of the earlier juice box units. I got a lot of feedback on that had to be replaced, but I really haven't seen that much with J Plus Booster 2 online, people complaining about it. So, as I said, I'm going to note it when I give it my final rating, but I'm not going to kill it entirely on it. Since we're talking about the NLX juice box and the J Plus Booster 2, you might have seen this unit online in previous years called the Juice Booster. And in Europe, that's how it's sold. It's called the Juice Booster. This has been available for quite some time in Europe. It just came to the US earlier this year. And it got rebranded as the J Plus Booster 2 instead of the Juice Booster 2. And that's because the company was concerned that there might be some confusion with the juice box. NLX juice box, they have the Juice Net. Everything is juice with NLX. So I think Juice America, that imports the J Plus Booster 2, was concerned that there might be some confusion in the naming, so they changed it to the J Plus Booster 2. But this is the same unit that's available in Europe, albeit with a different connector, and called the Juice Booster 2 in Europe. All right, so Juice America tells us that the J Plus Booster 2 is crush-proof at up to 6,600 pounds. They even made a video showing a tank running over it. But I watched the video and that was on dirt, so it was kind of like cheating in my opinion. We're going to do a crush test here. It's not going to be on dirt. Now, I don't have a tank, but I do have an F-150 Lightning that happens to weigh 6,600 pounds. Now, I know all of that weight won't be on exactly the single wheel that rides over this, but this is a really heavy truck, and I think it'll be a good test. So let's see how the J Plus Booster 2 does when it gets driven over on pavement with my Lightning. All right, I think I got that lined up. Uh-oh, looks like I broke it. But I didn't. This is just a rubber cap that protects the edges. It's pretty beaten up though. The edges are really scratched up badly, but these rubber caps, I think, just pop back on. Wow, the rubber is chewed up pretty badly, but it's a very heavy truck and we did it on pavement. So I could pop these, let me see, these caps back on, and it looks fine now. We'll see if it works. But you know, while we're here, I happen to also own a Rivian R1T, which weighs about 600 pounds more than the Lightning. So why don't we lay this thing back down? Let me see, I'll put it over here and see if it can withstand another run over. Ouch. Okay, again, the rubber caps came off, but the unit looks like it's in good shape. It is scratched like all heck. I mean, you can see the edges are just chewed up on it, but it seems to be fine. Well, there's like flakes of metal shavings coming off. But, you know, I think when I put this on top, it looks fine. Well, let's go inside now, plug it in, and see if it works. So I pulled my Rivian R1T into the state of charge garage. Let's connect the adapter. Really got to push that in hard. I'm going to plug it in here rather than using the extension cord I have. All right, the lights seem to be lighting up. It's blinking 40 amps. It seems like it should be able to deliver. Let's plug her in. God, this cap is on so tight on this. It would be such a pain if you had to take it on and off every day. All right, let's plug her in. See what it says. Okay, it's charging. The lights on the Rivian are lighting up. And as you can see, when the J Plus booster is charging, red lights scroll down the front of the unit up to the light that you have the amperage set at. So this is set at 40 amps. So you see there's almost like a wave of red lights that start at the 6 amp and go all the way up to the 40 amp. So it's delivering power. The J Plus Booster 2 survived being run over by a 6,600 pound Ford F-150 Lightning and a 7,200 pound Rivian R1T on pavement. It's chewed up pretty badly, but it didn't damage the unit at all. It's just cosmetic. Okay, so on to my final ratings. Those of you that follow my channel know that I use a point-based system called the Charger Rater to rate the charging equipment. However, I don't use it for the portable charging equipment like the J Plus Booster 2. And that's because the way it's set up, it's really optimized to rate the permanently mounted wall chargers. I may create a new version of the Charger Rater for the portable charging equipment so that it's appropriate based on the functions that these can do. But for now, I don't have a Charger Rater set up for that. So I just give my own personal score when I do the portable charging equipment. I do think I'm going to create a special Charger Rater for the portable charging equipment because we're starting to get some really good portable charging equipment available on the market now. That really wasn't the case for a long time, but now we see a lot of these dual voltage units like the J Plus Booster 2 available. So I think I'm going to have to create a specific Charger Rater for that. My personal score for the J Plus Booster 2 is 4.25 stars out of 5. I think this is a really solid unit. I mean, you've seen it with the tests here. This thing is tough. I love that it's dual voltage. I love that you can dial down the amperage if you want to. It's made really well. You don't have to worry about using it in rain and snow. You can even submerge it underwater for a little while. Not that that would ever happen. I guess it could be laying in a puddle for a while. Really driving rain outside, you don't have to worry about it. This thing is solid. It's built like a tank. And we like to see that, especially with the portable units, because they're going to get thrown around, dropped on the ground, moved around. The rubberized ends of this are really good for that. This is going to hold up really well long term, I believe, you know, under punishment, if that's how you use it. So that helps it with the score. But what did hurt it is the price. The 21-foot cord version is $699. It's $700. It's very expensive for a portable charger that can output 40 amps. You know, sometimes you do get what you pay for. So, you know, if you're not as price sensitive as most people, this should definitely be a consideration for you. If you want it in the 25-foot long cable, it's an extra $50. It's $749. So this is an expensive unit, but I think it's a very high quality unit. So, you know, as I said, you get what you pay for. It's safety certified. It's got the IP67 rating. It's tough as nails. You know, I think it's a good, solid unit, and that's why we gave it 4.25 stars out of 5. If this were priceless, if this was, you know, under $600, this would be around 4.5 stars out of 5. It's a really good unit. I think the fact that it is high cost pulled the price down a little bit, and also the fact that the first one that I received failed after just a couple of days of use. You know, that only ticked a couple of points off when I was adding up my points, because, as I said, I'm a little forgiving of this because I know this does happen with this equipment. You know, as long as the manufacturer has a good warranty and they can ship you out a new one, really, you know, no harm done. So that's it for our review here. The only thing that's left is my hits and misses, where I like to talk about some of the things I liked and some of the things that I didn't like about the unit. Okay, we'll start off with the hits. It has a tough military-grade aluminum case. As you saw in this review, it got ran over by 2 heavy electric trucks on pavement, and it was scratched up, but it didn't break it at all. It is IP67 rated for submersion. This can go up to 39 inches underwater for up to 30 minutes. And as you saw in the test that we did here, it was able to handle being underwater for quite some time, even longer than it's supposed to be able to, and it handled it without a problem. I like the fact that it's available in 2 different cable lengths. Not everybody needs a long cable, but some people do. And even the standard 21-foot cable is pretty good. The 25-foot cable at, you know, $50 more is a decent deal, especially you have to figure if this is going to be used portably, there's going to be times where you can't get that close to the outlet, so you might need that extra 4 feet of cable length. Well, let's take a look at the misses. Okay, obviously, the first unit failed on me. That's, you know, that's not good. It only lasted a couple of days, but as I said earlier, this does happen with this type of electronic equipment. As long as you have a good warranty and a reputable manufacturer, you should be okay. It's expensive. It's $700 for the 21-foot cable length version, and that's really kind of at the top of the cost for a portable 40 amp EVSE. Now, it's a high quality unit, but it's still quite expensive. I don't like the cradle and connector holster design. I think it's a poor design. I don't like the fact that the plug can only be from the top of the unit. You can't flip this thing around and have it snap into the unit either way. And I don't really like how the connector holster just kind of holds the connector up in the air, where any type of dust or moisture or any type of contaminants can just kind of fall into the top if you don't put the cap on the connector. And that cap is kind of a pain. It's super, super tight, and I would not want to be putting that on and taking it off every day as I plug and unplug my EV. All right, well, thanks for watching the J Plus Booster 2 review. We hope you learned a little bit about this unit here today and help you make a decision if you want to purchase one or not. If this is your first time here at State of Charge, please don't forget, ring that notification bell, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, all that good stuff. And as always, thanks for watching.